Hey gang, I'm Danny Drummond, the old guy jogging. You know, we always say life is short. And when you reach the age of 65, you start looking ahead and you say, well, wait a minute, life's even shorter. And I started realizing that probably my dream of being the lead pilot for the Navy Blue Angels will probably never come to fruition, nor my dream of becoming an airline pilot. But I guess one dream I do still have is that of being healthy as I go forward in years. So I went on the keto diet. I was 250 pounds, lost a little weight, down to, I'm a little under 250 pounds now. Haven't been real strict on the keto diet last couple of weeks, been trying to take in a few more carbs, but really trying to pick up my running, my jogging. And as I mentioned before, my goal at this time is to do the river run in Jacksonville. It's the Gate River Run. It's 15K, 9.3 miles. It's sometime in March, I think, 2021. So I have plenty of time to train for it. But need to get that done. And I want to talk for just a second about, because I've just got running again, just really got in the groove, and talk about why we have good days and bad days. And it's things I'm discovering about myself. And I used to run a lot, quit for a long time, so I'm not a professional, but I can talk from a bit of experience. So the experience I've had lately, and why we have good days and bad days, I got to where I was just barely making it through a mile, mile and a quarter, and I was killing myself. And it was really hot. And couldn't really figure out what was wrong. Went on a vacation for a week in Aspen, came back, the weather had cooled down. I think that's one of the big things. All of a sudden, over the next week or so, I'm doing a mile and a half, and then I'm doing 2 miles and feeling really good. And then all of a sudden I get out one day and I do 3 miles. I feel great. And wow, this is fantastic. And so a few days later, I go out one day and I can't, I'm doing a mile and a half and I'm having to force myself to get that in. What is wrong with me? I force myself to get a mile and a half and I'm really discouraged. And so I'm going back trying to figure out some of the things that happened. One is probably what I ate. And, when I ate lunch that day, I probably ate a little too much. I think it was just a little bit full. A couple of things that happened was it was a lot hotter that day, much more humid. And, when it's hot, the temperature can be a little bit hotter. It's going to make your heart beat faster, much more humid. The fact is that when you sweat, which I can sweat well, so normally I can run very well in the heat. When you sweat, that's your cooling system, but what really makes you cool down is when the sweat evaporates from the body. Well, the humidity was up like 90%, and so the sweat doesn't evaporate, so my cooling system, that didn't really cool you well. And so I think that was one of the big problems, was the heat. And the other thing I got to looking at, and don't want anybody crapping on me about how slow I am, but right now trying to get started again, I'm starting out real slow, and when I can do well, I'm doing about 11.5 minute mile, which, okay, I know is very slow, but come on, I'm 65 years old. And so I'm doing about 11.5 minute mile, and that's when I was doing well, 2, maybe 3 miles. And when I looked at my, I have the Garmin watch, and I can see where it on my phone, where the time. That day I had so many problems getting that mile and a half in. I think it's because I was listening to some music, had the beat going wrong. And so I was doing a 10.5 minute mile. That little bit of difference, I think, really changed things. So I quit listening to the music last couple of days, and to make sure I start out slow when I'm doing that 11.5 minute mile. Been doing great, been doing two and a quarter, 2.5. Still haven't been able to get that 3 miles in. Maybe I could have forced myself into it. I don't know. But doing 2.3 today, I did 2.5. I probably could have done more, but I really, really, really didn't want to go further. So that's the case. I think the heat, and remember, If you're like me, if you're old and starting back, remember to keep that pace very slow, and that's going to be very important. So keep that in mind. Keep the pace slow. Watch the temperature. Don't be discouraged if you can't do much. Just start slow. And if you're just getting started out, don't be afraid if you can't do, but just do a lot of walking. Jog a quarter mile. Do more walking, and after a few days, see if you can pick that up to 0.3 miles, anything. And when the temperature is about to start cooling, I'll bet you start getting that distance a little better. So keep the faith. I'm Danny Drummond, the old guy jogging. I'll see you next time. Hello, I'm Bob from the law firm of Bob, and Bob, attorneys at law. In our offices, we have 3 attorneys named Bob. Not all law firms can make that claim. Have you been injured in a slip, trip, and fall type accident? Let the attorneys at Bob, and Bob, attorneys at law, go against the big corporations. Help us to get the money that you deserve. And at night, at bedtime, when I'm saying my prayers, I'm thinking of you. Bob, and Bob, attorneys at law. We settle fast.